Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are uncovering 6 of the most valuable and expensive United States Washington quarter dollars, coins that quietly slipped through everyday circulation while building serious collector value behind the scenes. From overlooked mint marks to condition rarities that drive prices into the hundreds or even thousands, this episode breaks down why certain Washington quarters stand out, how they earned their ultra-rare status, and what makes them so desirable to collectors today. First up, we are diving deep into one of the most misunderstood, yet potentially valuable modern quarters ever struck. The most valuable and rare, the 1982 Washington quarter dollar with the Philadelphia P mint mark, a coin that many people spent without a second thought, but that collectors now examine closely for its surprising worth and rarity in high-quality condition. The 1982 P Washington quarter stands out as a highly collectible coin because it was produced during a turbulent period for the U.S. Mint, a time when cost-cutting measures dramatically changed how coins were made. While millions were struck, very few examples survived with sharp details, strong luster, and minimal wear, which is exactly why this coin has earned its place among serious Washington quarter collectors. What makes this issue especially interesting is that it represents a transition era where quality control suffered, making well-preserved coins far scarcer than the original mintage numbers suggest. And this gap between mintage and survivability is where real value begins to emerge. Looking back at 1982, the United States was dealing with economic pressure, rising metal costs, and major changes in minting practices. The Philadelphia Mint was striking quarters without mint sets that year, meaning collectors did not have an easy way to obtain high-quality examples directly from the mint. These quarters were produced primarily for circulation, often rushed into commerce with weaker strikes and lower-quality planchets, and as a result most were quickly worn down through everyday use. This historical context explains why finding a 1982 P quarter in top condition today is far more difficult than many people expect. From a design perspective, the 1982 P Washington quarter carries the familiar and iconic look that collectors know well, but closer inspection reveals why premium examples are so desirable. The obverse features George Washington's portrait with fine hair details that are often weak or flat on circulated coins, especially above the ear and along the jawline. On the reverse, the eagle's feathers and breast are key focal points, and strong definition here is uncommon for this issue. Coins that display crisp lettering, full feather detail, and original mint luster immediately stand apart and command strong attention in the marketplace. Rarity with this coin is not about how many were made, but how many survived in collectible condition. Most 1982 P quarters show heavy wear, dull surfaces, or contact marks from decades in circulation. Examples that grade mint state, particularly MS64 and above, are genuinely scarce, and those with clean fields and vibrant luster are even harder to locate. This low survival rate in higher grades is the driving force behind the coin's rising reputation and its steadily increasing value among specialists who understand modern condition rarity. Collector demand for the 1982 P Washington quarter has grown significantly as more hobbyists focus on assembling complete, high-grade Washington quarter sets. Within the Washington quarter series, this coin stands out as a key condition rarity rather than a traditional low-mintage issue. Advanced collectors actively compete for the best examples because skipping this coin can leave a noticeable gap in a premium quality set, and that competitive pressure continues to push prices higher for certified specimens. When it comes to current market value, the difference between an average coin and a high-grade example is dramatic. Circulated 1982 P quarters are typically worth only face value, but mint state examples tell a very different story. Coins grading MS63 can sell in the range of $1,500 to $3,000, while MS64 examples often reach $4,000 to $7,500 depending on eye appeal. At MS65, values can jump into the $5,000 to $9,000 range, and exceptionally clean, well-struck pieces with strong luster have sold for even more at auction. These price ranges clearly show how condition transforms this quarter from spare change into a serious collectible. For collectors hoping to find or acquire this coin, patience and careful inspection are essential. Focus on sharp details, original luster, and minimal contact marks, especially on Washington's cheek and the eagle's wings. Coins pulled from old rolls, estate collections, or long-held jars can sometimes surprise you, but certification from a respected grading service is highly recommended for higher-end examples. Paying attention to surface quality and strike strength can make all the difference when evaluating potential value. The most valuable and expensive United States ultra-rare, the 1982 Washington quarter dollar with the Philadelphia P mint mark, is a perfect example of how modern coins can become ultra-rare and valuable under the right conditions. Its historical context, poor overall strike quality, low survival rate in high grades, and growing collector demand make it a standout within the Washington quarter series. Whether you are a new collector learning what to look for or a seasoned enthusiast chasing condition rarities, this coin deserves serious attention. And as we move on to the next coin in this series, you may be surprised to learn that another seemingly ordinary issue carries an even more remarkable story and value waiting to be uncovered. And secondly, we're exploring the most rare and valuable, the 1968 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark stands as one of the most fascinating and highly sought after modern era coins in United States numismatics, captivating enthusiasts with a blend of subtle rarity, historical depth, and surprising market strength. To many collectors, this coin represents far more than everyday pocket change. It is viewed as a prized treasure from a transformative era in American coinage, where small details and condition can elevate a common-looking quarter into a four-figure collectible. Its growing demand in today's market reflects a renewed appreciation for transitional coins, especially those that quietly slipped through circulation yet survived in exceptional condition. The historical context of the 1968 Washington quarter adds significantly to its appeal. Minted during a period of major change in U.S. coin production, this coin belongs to the early clad era, following the removal of silver from circulating quarters just a few years earlier. Produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which no longer used mint marks on quarters at that time, the 1968 issue reflects the nation's adjustment to new materials and economic realities. It serves as a tangible connection to the late 1960s, a decade marked by cultural shifts, economic pressures, and evolving monetary policy, all of which influenced how American coins were produced and collected. From a design perspective, the 1968 Washington quarter remains iconic and instantly recognizable. The obverse features John Flanagan's enduring portrait of George Washington, facing left, with strong classical lines that convey dignity and permanence. The reverse displays the heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, clutching arrows and olive branches, symbolizing strength and peace. Struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition, the coin measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter and weighs 5.67 grams. In high-grade condition, the sharpness of Washington's hair detail and the crisp feathers on the eagle create a visual appeal that continues to draw collectors decades later. What elevates the 1968 no-mint mark quarter into the realm of ultra-rare collectibles is not mintage alone, but survival in exceptional condition and the presence of subtle varieties or striking anomalies. While millions were originally produced, most entered circulation and quickly developed wear. Finding examples that remain uncirculated, with full luster and no-contact marks, is increasingly difficult. Certain pieces also display striking characteristics or minor die variations that further enhance desirability, making them especially challenging to locate and highly competitive at auction. Condition plays a decisive role in determining both rarity and value for this issue. Coins graded mint state, particularly MS66 and above, are scarce and fiercely pursued by advanced collectors. In these grades, the surfaces remain clean, the strike is bold, and the original mint luster is fully intact. The challenge of locating such pristine examples has driven demand steadily upward, as collectors recognize that quality, not just age, defines true rarity in modern Washington quarters. In today's collector market, the value of a 1968 Washington quarter without a mint mark can be surprisingly strong when the right factors align. High-grade certified examples and notable varieties have been known to command prices ranging from $1,000 to as much as $8,000, depending on condition, eye appeal, and scarcity. Auction results and private sales show consistent interest, especially for coins graded by respected third-party services. The combination of historical importance, visual appeal, and limited high-grade supply has supported steady appreciation rather than short-lived speculation. For collectors looking to add this coin to their collection, careful selection is essential. Priority should always be given to professionally graded and authenticated examples, as subtle differences in condition can mean thousands of dollars in value. Close inspection for surface quality, strike sharpness, and originality is critical, and purchasing through reputable dealers or established auction houses helps minimize risk. Proper storage in protective holders and minimal handling will preserve the coin's condition and long-term appeal. Engaging with the numismatic community can also enhance the collecting experience. Collector forums, coin shows, and auction previews provide valuable insights into current market trends and help identify desirable examples. Many seasoned collectors emphasize patience, noting that the right 1968 no-mint mark quarter may take time to find, but the reward lies in securing a coin that truly stands out within the Washington Quarter series. Beyond its monetary value, the 1968 Washington Quarter, without a mint mark, carries a quiet prestige that resonates strongly with seasoned collectors who appreciate understated rarity. Unlike headline-grabbing silver issues or dramatic error coins, this quarter earns its reputation through nuance. Its importance lies in being overlooked for decades, only to later emerge as a standout once collectors began focusing on condition rarity within the clad series. That shift in collector mindset has transformed this coin into a benchmark example of how modern-era issues can evolve into serious collectibles, especially when preserved with full mint brilliance and exceptional eye appeal. As interest in high-quality Washington quarters continues to grow, the 1968 no-mint mark issue is increasingly viewed as a long-term cornerstone rather than a passing curiosity. Its limited population in top grades ensures ongoing competition whenever a premium example enters the market, reinforcing its position among advanced collections. For many numismatists, owning this coin represents both a deep appreciation of U.S. minting history and a strategic acquisition rooted in scarcity and demand. The 1968 Washington Quarter dollar without a mint mark represents a compelling blend of history, artistry, and rarity that continues to captivate enthusiasts worldwide. As a tangible connection to a pivotal era in U.S. coinage, it holds a respected place among modern American collectibles. Its strong market performance, coupled with its visual and historical appeal, reinforces its status as a prized treasure and a rewarding pursuit for collectors who value depth, quality, and lasting numismatic significance. And thirdly, we're talking about the most valuable and expensive United States ultra-rare Washington Quarter dollar dated 1965 with no mint mark, is the kind of coin that rewrites everything people think they know about value. At first glance, it looks like nothing special at all. Old, scratched, dull gray. A coin most people would pass over without a second thought, maybe even toss into a jar or spend without hesitation. Yet examples of this exact coin, under extraordinary circumstances, have stunned the numismatic world by reaching values that feel almost impossible for a quarter that looks worn and abused. This is where the shock begins, because this is not a pristine museum piece. This is a survivor. And in the right hands, with the right story and the right traits, a 1965 Washington Quarter, without a mint mark, can become one of the most talked-about modern-era coins in American collecting history. The year 1965 sits at a dramatic turning point in United States history and American coinage. The nation was deep into social change, economic pressure, and rising global tension. Inflation was creeping upward, silver prices were climbing rapidly, and the cost of producing traditional silver coins was becoming unsustainable. That year marked the first full transition away from silver in circulating quarters, fundamentally changing how American money was made and perceived. Coin shortages were widespread as people hoarded older silver issues, pulling them out of circulation overnight. The 1965 quarter was born in an atmosphere of urgency and compromise, struck to keep commerce moving rather than to create collectibles. That chaotic environment matters, because coins produced under pressure often carry hidden stories beneath their worn surfaces. All 1965 Washington quarters were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why they carry no mint mark at all. The mintage numbers were enormous, reaching into the hundreds of millions, as the mint struggled to meet demand and replace disappearing silver coinage. On paper, this should make the coin common and forgettable. But mintage numbers only tell part of the story. What truly matters is how many coins survived specific conditions, errors, mishandling, or unusual production variables. When millions are made quickly, quality control suffers. Dies are pushed beyond their limits. Planchets behave unpredictably. And within massive production runs, rare and dramatic outliers are created, often unnoticed for decades. The physical condition of an old, scratched 1965 quarter is not a weakness in this story, but its backbone. Heavy wear, deep scratches, dark discoloration, and uneven surfaces speak to years of circulation and exposure. Some coins show signs of lamination peeling from the surface. Others display rough textures where the metal reacted to environmental stress. Dates may appear softened or partially distorted, and Washington's portrait can take on a ghostly, eroded look that feels more archaeological than monetary. Each scar documents survival. Each flaw adds character. These are not defects to dismiss, but evidence that the coin lived through conditions most examples did not. Modern collectors are increasingly drawn to coins like this because perfection is no longer the only measure of desirability. There is a growing psychological pull toward coins that look dramatic, damaged, and extreme. These pieces tell stories that flawless coins cannot. They spark curiosity, debate, and emotional connection. Collectors compete for coins that feel unique, especially when damage creates a one-of-a-kind visual identity. Survival rarity becomes more important than grade rarity, and coins that appear ugly at first glance can become centerpieces precisely because no other example looks the same. Within the 1965 Washington Quarter series, there is also the potential for errors and anomalies that elevate certain coins far beyond normal expectations. Die deterioration was common during this period, leading to weak strikes, rough fields, and distorted lettering. Some quarters were struck on improperly prepared planchets, while others show signs of metal composition issues during the early clad era. Struck through debris, partial laminations, or surface bubbling caused by improper bonding of metal layers can transform an ordinary-looking quarter into a dramatic mint anomaly. Even environmental damage, when extreme and visually compelling, can create a coin that defies conventional classification and attracts intense interest. Auction behavior plays a crucial role in how these coins achieve shocking prices. In the age of social media and viral collecting stories, a single dramatic coin can ignite bidding wars. Specialty auctions thrive on narrative, and emotionally charged pieces often outperform traditional price guide expectations. When a damaged 1965 quarter is presented with strong documentation, high-quality imagery, and a compelling backstory, it stops being compared to other quarters and starts competing as a standalone artifact. Bidders are no longer paying for denomination or metal, but for uniqueness and the chance to own something no one else can replicate. In extreme and rare scenarios, coins like this have the potential to reach astonishing prices. Under the right conditions, a visually shocking 1965 Washington quarter with severe but fascinating anomalies, verified origin, and strong collector competition could theoretically approach six-figure territory at a high-profile auction. This is not normal. This is not expected. But numismatic history has shown repeatedly that outliers exist, and when they surface, traditional rules collapse. The value comes not from the quarter itself, but from what it represents, a perfect storm of history, damage, rarity, and desire. What makes the 1965 Washington quarter, without a mint mark especially haunting, is the idea that countless examples are still hiding in plain sight, misjudged because they do not match the polished image most people associate with valuable coins. These quarters passed through decades of hands, pockets, cash registers, and harsh environments, quietly absorbing history while the world moved on. Many were scraped across concrete floors, buried in soil, soaked in chemicals, or exposed to heat and moisture that permanently altered their surfaces. And yet, those very conditions can be the reason a single coin stands apart from the millions that were melted, lost, or discarded. In coin collecting, discovery often favors the overlooked, and the next shocking example may already exist in a collection labeled junk, waiting for someone who understands that rarity is sometimes forged by survival rather than perfection. This is why coin collecting has never been just about shine or perfection. It is about survival, chance, and the stories hidden in plain sight. An old, scratched 1965 Washington quarter without a mint mark may look worthless today, but its journey may be far more important than its appearance. Every mark is a chapter. Every flaw is a clue. And somewhere in circulation, in collections, or forgotten drawers, there are coins waiting to surprise the world. The only question is whether someone is paying close enough attention to notice. And fourthly, we're going to explore the most valuable and expensive United States ultra-rare, the 1970 Washington quarter struck, at the Denver Mint looks ordinary at first glance. Yet this coin sits at the center of one of the most fascinating value stories in modern U.S. numismatics. By 1970, quarters were no longer made of silver for circulation, which already sets the stage for confusion, mistakes, and rare transitional pieces. Most people spent these coins without a second thought, but collectors now know that certain 1970 D quarters carry extraordinary importance. Their value is not about face value or shine. It is about rarity, circumstance, and the tiny details that separate a common coin from one that can change a collector's life. What makes the 1970 D Washington quarter truly powerful is the existence of extremely rare minting anomalies tied to this year. A small number of quarters dated 1970 were accidentally struck on leftover 1941 Canadian silver quarter planchets. These pieces were never meant to exist. They slipped through mint controls and entered the world quietly, only to be discovered decades later by sharp-eyed collectors. These wrong planchet errors are among the most famous modern U.S. coin errors ever documented, and they instantly elevated the 1970 D quarter into legendary territory. When one of these confirmed error quarters appears at auction, the numbers speak for themselves. Verified examples have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, with top-condition specimens pushing into six-figure territory depending on preservation and certification. While not every 1970 D quarter carries this value, the reason collectors obsess over this coin is simple. The upside is enormous, and the downside is small. A coin that once bought a cup of coffee now commands prices that rival luxury cars, all because of a mistake that was never supposed to leave the mint. Condition plays a massive role in separating a valuable coin from an extraordinary one. Circulated 1970 D quarters are usually modest in value, but high-grade examples with sharp details, strong luster, and no cleaning can bring surprisingly strong premiums. Coins graded MS-67 or higher by major grading services can sell for thousands of dollars, even without dramatic errors. This is why experts stress one thing above all else. Never clean a coin, never polish it, and never assume damage makes it worthless. In the world of rare coins, originality is everything. Collectors are drawn to the 1970 D quarter because it represents a turning point in U.S. coinage history. This was an era when silver disappeared from circulation, public trust in coin metal changed, and the mint was adjusting to new production demands. Errors were more likely, oversight was imperfect, and some of the rarest modern coins were born from that chaos. The 1970 D quarter stands as a reminder that history does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, waiting to be noticed. The market demand for elite Washington quarters has grown steadily as advanced collectors compete for the finest known examples. Registry-set competition has pushed prices higher, especially for coins with unique stories or confirmed mint errors. Once a coin enters a top-tier collection, it often disappears from the market for years. That scarcity fuels even more demand when an example finally resurfaces. This is why auction appearances of rare 1970 D quarters attract intense attention and aggressive bidding. It is important to understand that stories of overnight fortunes are built on rarity, not guarantees. Most coins are common, but a small fraction are extraordinary, and identifying them correctly is what separates speculation from discovery. That is why professional authentication matters. If a 1970 D quarter appears heavier than normal, shows unusual color, or matches known error diagnostics, it should be examined by experts. The difference between a curiosity and a life-changing coin is often one professional opinion away. Many of the most valuable U.S. coins ever sold were found by ordinary people who simply took the time to look closely. Coin jars, inherited collections, and forgotten rolls have all produced major discoveries. The lesson is not to expect riches, but to respect what you already have. A coin should never be dismissed based solely on age or appearance. History has proven again and again that the rarest treasures often look ordinary to the untrained eye. The 1970 D Washington quarter continues to captivate collectors because it blends mystery, documented rarity, and real market demand. It is not just metal stamped with a date. It is evidence of a moment when the mint made a mistake that collectors would later treasure. That combination keeps this coin firmly planted among the most talked about modern U.S. quarters. What continues to drive fascination with the 1970 D Washington quarter is the psychological pull of possibility. Collectors know that while millions were struck, Only a microscopic number carry the characteristics that push them into elite territory. That imbalance between supply and discovery fuels constant searching. Every time one of these quarters is examined under magnification, there is a sense of anticipation because history has already proven that miracles can hide among ordinary coins. This is why serious collectors never stop checking weight, metal composition, strike quality, and die characteristics. The smallest deviation from normal standards can mean the difference between a pocket coin and a once-in-a-lifetime find. Another factor elevating the value discussion is how aggressively the market rewards verified rarity. Once a 1970 D quarter is authenticated as a wrong planchet strike or an unusually high-grade survivor, its value is no longer tied to metal or age. It becomes a documented artifact with a fixed place in numismatic history. Auction records show that when such a coin enters the spotlight, competition becomes intense, not just from individual collectors, but from investors building legacy collections. These buyers understand that coins of this caliber are not easily replaced, and when one disappears into a private collection, it may not resurface for decades. The lasting appeal of the 1970 D Washington quarter lies in its lesson about awareness. Coin collecting is not only about chasing famous rarities, it is about recognizing importance where others see nothing special. This quarter represents a quiet opportunity, a reminder that knowledge creates value. For collectors willing to learn, examine, and preserve their coins properly, the rewards can be extraordinary. Every serious collection starts with curiosity, and sometimes that curiosity leads to a coin that reshapes everything you thought you knew about worth, rarity, and hidden wealth. The true magic of the 1970 D Washington quarter lies in the stories it carries beyond its metal. Each coin is a frozen moment in history, a product of a time when the U.S. Mint was experimenting with new processes, adjusting to post-silver circulation, and occasionally making mistakes that would become legendary decades later. For collectors, holding one of these quarters is like holding a piece of that story in your hand. It is not just a coin, it is a tangible connection to history, rarity, and the unpredictable forces of chance. And in the world of numismatics, that connection often translates directly into extraordinary value, turning a small, unassuming piece of currency into a potentially life-changing treasure. If you have U.S. coins, especially Washington quarters from the late 1960s and early 1970s, the smartest move is simple. Do not rush to spend them, do not alter them, and do not assume you know their value at a glance. Take time to learn, compare, and verify. The next great discovery does not announce itself. It waits patiently in collections, piggy banks, and drawers, ready for someone who understands that true value often hides where no one thinks to look. And at the end, we're exploring the most valuable and rare, the 1990 Washington quarter dollar minted in Philadelphia, often cataloged simply as the 1990p, holds a particularly fascinating and highly sought-after position in modern numismatics that captivates enthusiasts and investors alike. While the Washington quarter series is abundant in later years, the 1990p distinguishes itself through an extraordinary and unexpected chapter. The existence of a minuscule number of proof-struck quarters accidentally released into circulation from the Philadelphia facility. This incredible error, involving coins never intended for public hands, transforms an otherwise common issue into one of the greatest rarities of the entire series. Its appeal lies not in age, but in a stunning minting anomaly, making it a prized treasure that commands awe and extraordinary premiums in the marketplace, symbolizing the thrilling unpredictability of coin collecting. The historical context of this quarter is intricately tied to the operational procedures of the United States Mint in the late 20th century. By 1990, the Washington quarter, featuring the enduring obverse portrait of the first president, was primarily a circulating coin, with special proof versions produced solely at the San Francisco Mint for collectors. The Philadelphia Mint's role was to strike coins for general circulation using standard business strike techniques. The historical significance of the 1990p rarity stems from a profound minting error, a very limited quantity of planchets intended for the proofing process at Philadelphia, a practice not officially acknowledged for that year, were struck with proof dies and somehow escaped the facility, entering the channels of circulation. This event commemorates no public figure or historical milestone, but instead represents a rare and tangible breach in minting protocol, a secret slice of minting history that connects holders directly to a fleeting and mysterious moment in the mint's operational history. The unique features of this coin are what immediately signal its exceptional nature to a trained eye. In all outward dimensions, its diameter, weight, and copper-nickel-clad composition, it matches a typical circulation strike. However, its surfaces tell a completely different story. The coin exhibits the deep mirror-like fields and frosted, sculpted relief devices characteristic of a proof coinage strike. The obverse portrait of George Washington and the reverse eagle display a stunning contrast and sharpness unseen on a regular 1990 P quarter. There is no unusual mint mark variety. The coin bears the standard P mint mark, but its method of strike is the defining, desirable feature. This visual magnificence, especially when preserved in flawless condition, elevates the coin from a simple piece of currency to a miniature work of numismatic art, showcasing the pinnacle of the minting craft that was never meant to leave the facility. The rarity of the authentic 1990 P-proof circulation find is absolute and legendary. While official mintage figures for Philadelphia business strikes are in the hundreds of millions, the population of these erroneously released proof coins is estimated to be fewer than a dozen confirmed specimens. This scarcity is not due to a planned limited mintage, but to a dramatic mint error of release. Condition is paramount, as the coin's extraordinary value is wholly dependent on it retaining its pristine proof surface quality. Given that these coins entered circulation, most suffered immediate and severe damage. Therefore, finding an example that survived without bags, marks, scratches, or where is the paramount challenge. This combination of an extreme population scarcity and the critical necessity for superb preservation drives intense collector demand, placing this variety among the most elusive modern American coins available. The market value for a genuine 1990 P-proof quarter from circulation reflects its status as a modern numismatic legend. For a specimen in authenticated and superb condition, such as proof 65 or higher, values reliably range from $1,000 to $8,000, with the price heavily influenced by the exact quality of the surfaces and its pedigree. Exceptional examples that have garnered fame in the collecting community can command prices at the upper end of this spectrum, or even beyond in private treaty sales. This valuation is sustained not by speculative interest, but by the coin's confirmed rarity, its captivating story, and its visual appeal. The market for such a coin is steady and deep, comprised of advanced series specialists and era variety collectors who recognize it as a cornerstone piece, with values demonstrating consistent appreciation over time as more collectors compete for the same tiny handful of coins. For collectors pursuing this numismatic holy grail, diligent caution and informed strategy are essential. Prioritizing certification from leading grading services like PeaceGS or NGC is non-negotiable. These bodies can authenticate the coin's legitimacy as a genuine Philadelphia minted proof, a critical step given the presence of counterfeits and the practice of proofifying regular coins. Inspection should focus on the presence of true mirrored fields without hairlines from cleaning and sharply frosted devices. Purchases should only be made through the most reputable auction houses or dealers with extensive experience in modern errors and varieties. Engaging with the specialized community of Washington quarter and error collectors can provide invaluable insights into potential availability and market trends for this elusive issue. Proper stewardship of such a rare find is a collector's solemn responsibility. Once acquired, the coin must be housed securely in its certified grading holder, which offers optimal protection from environmental threats and physical handling. It should be stored in a stable, climate-controlled environment, away from direct light or humidity fluctuations. The coin should never be removed from its holder, as its value is inextricably linked to its certified grade and authenticity. For insurance and legacy purposes, maintaining detailed records of the purchase and certification is prudent. This careful preservation ensures the coin's historical and financial legacy for future generations of numismatists. The acquisition of a 1990 P-proof Washington quarter is not merely a purchase, but an entry into an exclusive fellowship of advanced numismatists who appreciate the profound narrative behind such an error. This coin's journey from a secure minting chamber, where it was struck as a clandestine proof, into the chaos of public circulation is a story of institutional anomaly that captivates the imagination. Owning such a piece allows a collector to safeguard a tangible fragment of this secret history, a conversation piece that speaks volumes about minting processes, quality control, and the serendipitous nature of numismatic discovery. Its presence in a collection immediately elevates the status of the entire portfolio, showcasing a collector's dedication to pursuing not just the old and traditionally rare, but the modern miracles of the hobby that are perhaps even more scarce due to their unintentional creation. Furthermore, the long-term prospects for this extraordinary quarter remain exceptionally bright, as its rarity is permanently fixed and its story irreproducible. Unlike classic rarities whose populations are well documented, the 1990 P-proof's elusive nature and the constant verification required for authenticity create a dynamic where new specimens are almost never discovered, cementing its status indefinitely. This ensures that demand will perpetually outstrip supply, fostering a market environment of steady, resilient appreciation. The 1990 P. Washington quarter-proof circulation finds stands as a breathtaking convergence of historical accident, artistic beauty, and extreme rarity. It transcends its face value to become a landmark piece in any collection, embodying the mystery and excitement that fuel the passion for numismatics. As a strong investment and a prized collectible, it offers lasting value and unparalleled appeal. For the dedicated collector, the pursuit of this quarter is more than an acquisition. It is the pursuit of a modern legend, a rewarding endeavor that secures a tangible piece of minting lore and a treasure that will be admired by enthusiasts worldwide for generations to come.